Hello and welcome. My name is Greg and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Um, this is the first video I've done in maybe about over a year. I kind of went off to do studies on other things besides routing and switching, um, and now I'm back. Now I'm going to be getting into security. Hopefully get my CyberOps security cert. That's what I'm working on currently, and used to be a pure routing and switching guy. So anyways, there's been a lot of changes to the GNS3 program, as well as how it gets installed, and how things are used within it or with it. And if you haven't installed GNS3 recently, it might be a shock. It kind of was to me. It was almost starting, I wouldn't say from the ground up, but some of it was intuitive. Other things might have not have been. So that's why I felt like hopefully this will be a helpful video for someone who's starting out fresh or someone who hasn't touched GNS3 in quite a while. If you have touched GNS3, you might want to go and uninstall it completely. Look for folders within your roaming profile under your users, username, and I believe it's under app data, roaming. There's a GNS3 folder there that you got to delete. That's the settings, which may conflict with the new GNS3 if it's been a while since you installed it last. So you want to delete that after uninstalling GNS3. You want to make sure the GNS3 folder under program files is gone as well. And I think that's about it. There might be one in the documents folder, also under users, username, documents. But check those three areas, make sure there's not a GNS3 folder, and delete them all. One thing that I do to make sure that all the stuff that I need in case I have to refresh my computer or just to know where it's at, is that I create this GNS3 folder right here, which emulates the folders that it creates in all those other places I was telling you about, with the exception of maybe the roaming GNS3 folder. That's where the INI file is, I believe. Anyways, for your projects, you may want to know right where they're at. So if you want to back it up, take it to another PC and restore it there, you can. Like say if you're in school and they use GNS3, it might make it easier if you keep it out on the C drive, just C GNS3 or D, it doesn't matter which drive you put it on. But if you create this folder structure here on the root, it's easier to find than if it's buried in a bunch of other folders. So that's what I did. One of the four folders that it uses within GNS, or I should say 5 folders that it uses within GNS3, is appliances, which have appliance templates for the devices we're going to be installing. Configs, those are your configs that you'll use for your devices, as well as images, layouts, and project, or excuse me, applications or appliances, I'm sorry, images, let's see, projects, symbols, and I think configs. Those are the 5. Anyways, so you'll see once we get in there where those are and what they normally point to as far as a path. I think they put it in GNS3 folder within the C users your host name or login name, I should say, folder, and then in there is a GNS3 folder with all these folders. I believe that's where it gets installed normally, but you'll see that in a minute. But if you don't want to keep digging and digging or trying to remember where it's at, putting it on the root's easier to remember, for at least for me. So so if you create these folders, there's only one as subfolders, and that's images. And in here I put the Dynamips iOS images. In the IOU I put the IOU images, and the Qemu I put the ASA images, which will be installing all three of those and as part of this installation video. I also keep in here the GNS3 VM, which is an unzipped version of the file I'll show you in a minute that you got to download from GNS3. You also need a IOURC image, or excuse me, license file. This IOURC file, as well as all of the images in here, are from Cisco. So you have to go up and download these image files. Really the only one you need is this 7200 15.0 file, because it has the 15 feature set or command set that you need for the latest exams. The 12.4 feature sets, or 12.3 like this one, won't work for, I mean, you can still use it, but it may not have all the features that will be in the exam. So if you want to make sure that you have the routers that will help you with the exam, you want to have at least this one for Dynamips. For IOU images, this is the L2 Linux based switch image. So you want to get either this image or later, again all from Cisco, and same with the layer 3 switch image. All of these are the 15.0 or greater feature set, or command line set features that will be on the exam. Well, should have all of those commands in there. So that's what you need for IOU, and for ASA I use this ASAv 982 QCal2, or that's the ASA virtual version of the ASA. It's a virtual machine that also gets installed inside GNS3, as we'll see. So you'll need to have those. All of those you can get from Cisco, but I will say some of them you're going to need to pay for. So if some people that don't have a lot of money, and I totally understand that, Google it. You can do that, but Cisco recommends getting it from them. The main reason is there may be viruses in the files you download from other people. So if you do have to go that route, make sure you scan it with the virus scanner. So so you'll want that. The rest of the stuff in here gets added as you use GNS3. So if you've already used GNS3, you could copy your files, like your project files, into this project folder, and you'll find them there. Going back to this image, this GNS3 VM image is found in this file here, the GNS3 VM VMware Workstation 2.1, or excuse me, 2.1.4. You don't want to use VirtualBox. VirtualBox is kind of buggy. Um, GNS3 recommends that you use VMware over VirtualBox, even though they do have a VM for it. You do so at your own risk, because it's not as stable as VMware. So so before I go much further on what you need to download, let's open up the web page. So this is the GNS3 web page. So if you've never gone there before, you might want to click here and free downloads and sign up for this. And then once you have it, you can create the account, and if you already have it, you can log in. Let me go back to that. I think it's click off of it. Oh, there we go. So once you have that and you're in GNS3 in their website, you have access to it, then you can download the GNS3 program, which is this one right here, GNS3 2.1.4-all-in-one. So you want to get this particular file and this file from GNS3. GNS3 has a version of Wireshark that's installed inside, or that can be installed from it. But it's an older version, so I recommend going to Wireshark and download the latest version. Right now 2.4.5 is the latest one. Make sure that you're using either a 64 or 32-bit, depending on what system you have. Make sure you right-click on My Computer, or I forget what they call it for Win 10, but let me see. This PC. So if you right-click on this PC or My Computer, depending on what flavor of Windows you have, it will open up a drop-down menu that you click Properties, and from there on that screen it will show whether you have a 64-bit version of Windows or a 32-bit. So just pick the right one. Go ahead and download the one that you need, and then if you don't already have VMware installed, go to their website right here and go to Downloads. And there's two versions you can get. There's a free version, which is this Workstation Player, or there's a paid Workstation Pro. There's other types of ones you can use, but like I believe there's one for ESXi on GNS3 as well, that you could download an image for that. But we're going to install it for VMware Workstation Pro in this video. Player should not be that much different as far as how it gets installed and how it gets used. But for this video, I'm using Workstation Pro. Workstation Pro is about $300. Once you install GNS3 and get to the point where it tells you to select VMware, there's actually a link there that GNS3 has a 15% off coupon for for Workstation Pro. Or you could Google. There may be somebody selling the license a lot cheaper than that. That's how I found mine. I got mine for real cheap, under $100, by Googling, and went ahead and bought it. There's pros and cons to the Workstation Pro. I guess the con would be the price, but the pros would be that it's a tabbed environment, so you can have multiple VLANs running within tabs, so you have a bunch of windows open as you would in Workstation Player. And I'm not sure if it has the ability to open more VMs within Pro than Player, but that's the major con, or major pro I should say, to buying Pro. but it's up to you. For now, if you don't want to pay the money, you can go and install it on Workstation Player. So the only other so if you want to go and download that, go ahead and download whichever one you want to do. And then also the other thing we want to download is this. It's MobaXterm. It's a free terminal program, a tabbed terminal program. There are other programs out there like Secure CRT. Secure CRT, just to use it, is $100. Whether you used it or not, whether you know it will work for you or not, it's $100 just to use it. I think. I don't think they have a demo, or if they do, it's very limited. MobaXterm, you can buy it from them. It's a lot cheaper. It's $69 with Secure CRT, and I don't work for MobaXterm, by the way, or I'm not getting paid to say this, but one thing I noticed is that it's $30 cheaper than Secure CRT, plus it has a lifetime license, which Secure CRT you have to pay every year if you want to get updates. So, which is very pricey for a terminal program. Even $69 is a little pricey, but at least you get lifetime support and lifetime use with this program. You don't have to buy it. You can get the free right now and try it. I've been using free for 2 years, and it does everything I need. Even the biggest project I have runs with MobaXterm with no problems. I will say there is a few glitches, but I don't know if it's GNS3 or MobaXterm's fault. And I'll show you that in a minute. But go ahead and download this right here, unless you want to pay for it. Once you've downloaded all three of these programs, or actually once you've downloaded GNS3 as well, stop the video and go ahead. But before you do, go ahead and install Wireshark, VMware, and MobaXterm. It's all defaults all the way. You don't need to make any changes. It's very easy to install those three. It'll take you about 10 minutes. Go ahead and stop the video and then come back once you've done so. Alright, welcome back. So now that you have these three installed, make sure that you open up VMware and that it opens up. Like I said, if you have the player, it may be slightly different. You'll see an open virtual machine, and it may say something different than open virtual machine, but I believe that's what it says. So you click this, and the rest should be similar, which will bring you to your last known place. And fortunately for me, I have my C-root GNS3 images folder. Was the last one I opened with this, so it remembered. So I'm going to double click. If not, browse to where it is on your drive. Remember, you had to it should be this zip file. You have to unzip it, and like I said, I unzipped it into my images folder, and this is it right here. Excuse me, this is it right here. So double click on that, and that's gonna bring this up. If you have installed a previous GNS3 before, you may have number bracket. If so, browse to this folder, go down the bottom and go inside this virtual machine folder where it gets installed, and right click. Let's just say it's this one. Right click on it and hit delete, and delete the GNS3 VM, that folder that's in there. Once you've done that, hit cancel to this, hit cancel to this, go back, so that way when you double click on it, it will open up the way it is right here. So if you didn't have it installed before, skip that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and install this now, or import it into the VM, I should say, import the virtual machine into Workstation Pro. So I'll go ahead and hit import, and it's going to import the VM. Now, one thing I will say, I won't do it in this video because I did it before, and it kind of gave me problems in the middle of the video, of making the video. There's one setting that you do need to change once this is imported. We're going to make that change right now, but the only thing that you can change in it is that, and that is to give it KVM support. If you don't, it'll say when it first loads and gets all the way in, it will say that the KVM services is false. So basically, you go into this edit virtual machine settings, and you go to processors, and you want to make sure that these are checked. Okay. Once you've done that, that's pretty much it. You can't change any of these other settings. That needs to be done within GNS3, but you have to check these if you want GNS3 to work. So we'll go and hit OK to that. There is the option to upgrade this machine if you're running VMware Workstation Pro. I'm going to go ahead and do it just so you can see what it does, and we'll have to go back into the settings after that we're done. So go ahead and set the hardware compatibility to 14. Click next. Alter this virtual machine and say next. If you don't, it'll create a clone. You don't want that. We'll hit next, and it's going to add some compatibility. So we'll go back in and I'll show you what that is. So we'll go ahead and close. So that went away, so it's updated. So now we want to go in, edit the virtual machine, go back to processors, and you see now it added this. So we'll go and check that as well. So you could go ahead if it gives you that option to update it. Go ahead and do it the way I just did. If not, you should have those 3 boxes right off the bat. So player may have them already, so if you do, you don't have to do that step. So let's go ahead and power on the virtual machine, because it has to be running when GNS3 first starts, and it starts right after the installation. So you don't want it to be off, because otherwise it could cause all kinds of problems. This has to be running in order for GNS3 to work. So so you wait for the black screen, wait for the GNS3 chameleon to get his bug, and then it goes to this screen. Once it leaves this screen, it goes to the blue screen that shows the IP address, and here's where that KVM support available says true. If you didn't check those boxes, it would say false, and if it was false, you get all sorts of errors within GNS3. It wouldn't work at all. So the other thing you want to notice is what this IP is. It's 192.168.178. The GNS3 gateway for it will be .1, as you'll see in a minute. So let's go ahead and minimize that right now, and let's run GNS3. Oops. Let's run GNS3. Alright, so we're running GNS3. We go and hit next, hit I agree, hit GNS3. Now, if you already installed Wireshark, you don't need these two, okay? And if you've used GNS3 before, chances are you don't need this VIRT Viewer 5.0 or SolarWinds Response Time Viewer. If you did install GNS3 recently, you may not even need this tight VNC viewer. What I would do is go into where your apps are, depending on which flavor of Windows you have. For Win 10, and go into the apps right here, and it'll bring up a list. Go into that list and see if any of these are installed and that version is the right version. If it's older than 5.0 for VMware, we'll just say go ahead and hit you can uninstall it and click next to this and it'll install the latest version. Whatever you install, specifically these two, and possibly the Wireshark, I'm not sure, you have to have internet access for it to work. I don't think you do if you have all these unchecked that are currently unchecked right here. So let's go ahead and hit next. We usually leave the default installation folder and go ahead and hit next, and it's going to start the installation. And this is the only pop-up that you'll get if you unchecked all those other boxes. Once this goes away, it's about, I'd say, 60 seconds till it's fully installed. Okay, it's taking a little longer than 30 seconds or 60 seconds. It's calling me a liar. Anyways, it's not that long. It'll be done here in shortly. I would pause the video, but by the time I pause, I'd be unpausing it. Okay, so there you go. We'll go and hit next. If you have used GNS3 before, chances are you have the SolarWinds standard toolset, which is a $200 value. If you haven't, you can hit yes to this, hit next, and it will take you to SolarWinds website where you can register and download the standard toolset. Since I already have it, I'm going to say no. Chances are if you have used GNS3 before, you have it. So we'll go and hit next. I don't think they've even updated the version to it yet. I'm not sure, but I'd have to go back and look. But you can always go back and see if they do have a newer version. But let's go ahead and finish and start GNS3. So it brings up this thank you for installing GNS3 web page, which has documentation, GNS3's Academy, which is like Udemy, Marketplace, which has some information on software and add-ons and appliances and whatnot. So you're more than welcome to check those out. But I'm going to go ahead and minimize this since we're waiting for GNS3. Okay, so when GNS3 first starts, if you get this pop-up that gives a loopback address 1727001, chances are it didn't detect the IP for your VMware. So what you'll have to do is, you'll see in a minute, you have to change that IP on the next page. We're going to choose this first one because we're running the iOS's, the iOS V, IOU, ASAv, and any other appliances from non-Cisco manufacturers within the GNS3 VM. It's cleaner that way. If you do the legacy on my computer or by remote server, be prepared that it may or may not work. Whatever you install on these, because it's hard to communicate from within the VM out exterior to the VM. So it's best to use this first option and have everything ran within the VM. So we'll go and hit next. So this is the binding it was trying to bind with, which is wrong because we are 192.168.178. 128. So we got to find that subnet in this list. And voila, there it is. So we check that, we hit next, and now it's going to try to bind with the VM again. So it's connecting to the server on that IP and that port. You don't need to change that port. It's always 3080. And voila, it's successful. So now GNS3 is successfully communicating with the VM over here. So we'll go and hit next to this. And this is where I was talking about that 15% coupon. If you click here, it'll take you to a website where you can use that to buy that Workstation Pro 14 if you so desire. Like I said, if you Google it, you may find it cheaper. So just put in Workstation Pro 14 license, or I think license, and it should find a ton of vendors out there selling it, and you may find it cheaper than buying it from VMware. So we want to make sure, as you see, it's recommended that we use VMware, not VirtualBox. So we're going to use that and leave that alone. All of this you leave alone. I think you can change you can change the RAM size from here or within GNS3, as you'll see in a minute. So we'll go and hit. I'll wait for that, and once that's done, saving all those options, go ahead and hit finish, and it just started the VM right here, so that's where it's at. So now we import an appliance to a template. So we can either do it right here, and it only lets you do one, so it gives you a feel for how to do it, or you could do it from within edit preferences, as you'll see in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and import one from here just so you see how it's done. We'll go ahead and do the 7200 series image, iOS image that I mentioned. Oh, I'm sorry. GNS3 appliances 7200, Cisco 7200. Okay, so we'll go and hit next to that. Again, run all these appliances from GNS3 VM. It says it's recommended right there. Okay, and it's going to bring up a list. Now this is what they've tested GNS3 with, but if that's not your version, which remember mine's 150-15 or 150-1, I think, we're going to go ahead and create a new one. So call it 7200, and we'll call it 150-1, and we'll say OK. And that brings us down here. For some reason it tries to pawn off this file name, but you just hit import and then go to your images, and it's an iOS, and it's this 115-1 or 150-1, I should say. So we'll go and hit open, and it's uploading it into the VM. It's uploading that image. So now that image will run from that VM. And for some reason, if you don't put 7200, it won't put 7200. If you do put 7200, it puts it twice. So I'll show you how you could change that later. So we'll go ahead and select this and click next. And we want to use that. And that's all it does. You can't make any modifications to your slots or anything like that from here. You got to do that from within edit preferences. You hit finish. So it's really limited, but it at least gives you a feel for how to, do it from the wizard. Since we're not starting a project yet, I'm going to hit cancel to this. Because we have some more installation to do of images. So we're going to go to Edit Preferences. We do have some other changes to do too, such as these are the paths I was telling you. So if you don't put it out on the root, which is I think minus that, you have to go into C, users, Greg, or whatever your login name is, GNS3 projects to get your projects, which is to me too buried. So I like going to the C root. So I'll go to C, and this is our projects. And as you're doing this, if you forget which one was it, just look up here, projects. Okay, so go to projects, select folder, hit browse. Now we're doing symbols. So you got to do this 4 times. So symbols, select folder. Actually 5 times for images. Oops, C. Remember to hit C first. Oh, come on. And we're doing configs, so double click on configs, select folder. Do the same for appliances, and now that we're putting the appliances in the path, you won't have to browse to it again. It'll find it automatically. So that's a new folder that GNS3 added recently. And I'll show you another folder. It used to have the images under the general tab in here, but they moved it to this binary images for some reason. So you got to browse to that as well to change your path to images, select folder, and now your paths are there, so when you go to add it down here, you'll be able to. So now we're going to go to console application, and that one program I asked you to install, hopefully you did. If you didn't, pause the video and install this MobaXterm installer. 10.5 is the latest one as of this video, and this video was created on 3/30/2018. So it normally uses PuTTY, but PuTTY is okay, but instead of a single window with a bunch of tabs, you got a bunch of windows that to me gets all over the place. I'll show you, you can still have multiple windows if you want from within MobileX, but we're going to change this to MobaXterm. As you see, there's a bunch of different CRT programs out there, some free, some not. This is the secure CRT I was telling you about. That one is $100. I think this Royal TS is too. I'm not sure. One of these costed money as well, and it was more than MobileX, at least at the time I checked. But MobileXterm is the latest one. For some reason, when I installed mine, it didn't put it in this folder, personal edition, so you may want to go to that path. So let's do that. Let's go C, program files, program files, and then go down to MOBA. Where is it? Did I go the right one? Let me see. Oh, x86, sorry. Then go down to MOBA Tech, I believe it is. Where is it? MOBA. There it is, MOBA Tech. So for some reason, when I installed mine, it didn't put this personal edition there. So it may be got a different version or whatever, but in any case, if it doesn't have that in this folder name, just delete that from right here. Alright, and once you've done that, it should use this to automatically start MobileXterm when you click the consoles button within GNS3, which I'll show you in a minute. So we'll go ahead and hit OK to that. Now, one thing you do have to do, and I would set this, try setting it for 4,000. I think the lowest I was able to get to work on my computer was 3,000 ms to delay each console launch before consoling to the devices, because if you don't, the tabs won't open because the program takes I want to say, I don't know, it seems like 30 seconds to open. And if you don't have this set, it may not load all the tabs by the time it gets open. It'll try to load it before it's open. And effectively no tabs will be there. So I'll show you that in a minute. Let's set for 4,000, see if that works. Let's go ahead and hit apply. I don't do anything with this VNC Spice. You can if you want. If you have a different VNC program than what comes with GNS3, you can change that. I'm not sure. Like, it uses by default tight VNC. There's also alternate VNC if you already have that and want to use that instead. I'm not sure Spice. No, for Spice it's just Spice. So so you don't need to really change these two. Topology view, I check this draw rectangle when the item is selected. The reason I do that is because if you have a big topology with a lot of devices, it could be hard to detect to tell which device is actually selected. I mean, I suppose you could reselect every time, but if you go from window to window, you may forget and have to reselect. So this will draw a rectangle around it so you know exactly which one is selected. So like if you're going to hit delete to delete something and you want to make sure it's the one you want to delete, this helps. So other than that, I don't change anything under general. Under server, you'll see this host binding is where we did that binding earlier to the VM. I don't change anything in here. Same with remote servers. For GNS3 VM, you can change the size of RAM. So this is where you set it. So if you want more than one CPU or want more RAM, this is where you do it. I tried doing it from over here in the settings, and it won't save. It goes away as soon as you restart the VM. It goes back to what it was. This is where you have to do it. They made it that way. Fortunately, somebody, I forget his name, but somebody on GNS3 helped me with that issue, because I was going nuts trying to change the RAM. And anyways, I digress. For action when closing GNS3, this is an automated thing. So if you click this, it does nothing when you close GNS3. The VM will still be up. You can select suspend the VM, but if you're going to do that, you might as well stop it. So I usually select stop. Suspend, I can't see why you'd want to do that. I guess if it saves time, I don't know, but yeah, I would rather keep the GNS3 VM running than suspend. So we'll go and hit apply. Alright, for packet capture, if you want to make changes to how Wireshark works at GNS3, you can do that. There are some built-in hubs, switches, and cloud nodes. Cloud nodes allow you to map a cloud interface to your actual Windows NIC, your physical NIC. So like if you wanted to have two laptops with two versions of GNS3 running, and you want to put a crossover cable between them or a switch, and run both of them, interconnect both of them, you can with a cloud node. You just have to go in and make sure to point to the right NIC and all that. For the purpose of this video, I'm not going to do that. For VPCS, these are virtual PCs. You don't need to do anything in here. It's already installed in GNS3. Same with these built-in hubs, switches, and clouds. But you do need, for Dynamips, you do need to add your iOS routers. So just so we can make this look cleaner, I'm going to get rid of this second 7200 that it created with the template. Alright, now it's more cleaner. And then you can, if you want, increase RAM and NVRAM and add a PCMCIA disk to it if you want. I usually leave it default. I usually change slot 0 to 2FE. There is a gigabit Ethernet too, but I like the 2FE because if all you need is 2 fast Ethernets, it gives you that for slot 0. And then you can add your gigabit Ethernets here, which I do usually add 2 of those. And then also some serial connections. So I'm going to hit OK to that. So I changed the name and added all of these to it. So I'm going to hit apply to that. And now let's go into the IOU, which is iOS on Unix version of router and switch, or layer 2 switch, layer 3 router. The one thing you do need, as I mentioned before, let me get back to it, under images, you have this IOURC file. That's the license file to be able to use the IOU images that you have to get from Cisco. Again, if you Google it, you can find it. But like I said, Cisco recommends going through them because they want to make sure that you have not only a virus-free image, but that it should work the first time out the gate and hopefully not have any problems. So if you go through them, it'll be cleaner. I'll just say that, and it'll be legal. So we'll go ahead and hit browse, and for some reason, even though I put that in there, because I didn't close out of preferences, it didn't put the paths in for this yet, so you may have to manually browse to the GNS3 images folder where the IOURC file is, and there you go, there's my license. Hit apply, and if it didn't work, you would have gotten an error. So and the IOU devices won't work when you go to put it on the topology. So let's go ahead and add those. So run this IOU from GNS3 VM, hit next. Alright, and it found it. So fortunately, because I had that path in, it found it here. But if for some reason it didn't, you hit new image and browse, and you can double click on it here. But I'll go ahead and show you how that works too. There you go. So as soon as you do that, it uploads it to the VM, the image. And now we're going to name it. I usually call mine IOU some money. No, I'm just kidding. Iou Switch. And hit finish. And there you go, which gives you an IOU switch with 4 banks of 16 interfaces. I think it's 16 total, not 4 times 16. Although you can add that, and for some reason, which I don't understand, you could add a serial interface to it as well if you so choose, but I think they leave it 0 because who needs a serial interface on a switch? So we'll leave that. Let's go add in our IOU layer 3 router as well. Let's see if it finds it. Did it find it? No. Oh, it did. Okay, there it is. So we put no, IOU, not LOU. IOU router. You could call it L3, whatever you want to do, but whatever you want to call these, you can call it. So we'll go and hit apply to that. And now, last but not least, we're going to add a Qemu Vm Template for, do you know what it's for? An ASA, yes. Okay, so we're going to do an ASA v9.8, no, 9.8.2, I believe it is. We'll find out. Okay, I usually leave this default x86 if you're running Windows. Well, if you're running something else, you may be running, what's the other one? I forget. But anyways, if you're running anything other than Intel, it may be something else. So you may have to go back on that, just for giggles. ARM. If you're running an ARM or maybe what's the other one? I can't remember. Anyways, whatever that other processor company is, other than Intel, you may need to change that. So we'll go and hit next. You can set it to Telnet. If you do, this will run from MobileX. But I find that the VNC runs cleaner. So for the ASA, run it from the VNC that we saw earlier. So we'll hit next to that. Existing image. Let's see if it finds it. Will it find it? Oh, no, wait. This is just the flash. What am I saying? Okay. So we got to do new image. What am I saying? Browse. There it is. So that's the one I need. Bam. So again, make sure that you're uploading a QCOW2 image. If you try to upload those other two that the older version, I think it was 8.4.2 used. I'm trying to remember the into something, I can't remember. What, anyways, whatever those other two images files are, you don't need. You just need a QCOW, and it has to be an ASAv file for this to work. So I think you can use the other two, but it's the different way of installing, I think. So I'll go ahead and hit finish, and once it does that, you go back in and edit, and I usually like to change the symbol just to make it clean, because it gives it it looks like a PC, and it's not. It's an ASA right here. So there are other things you can change in here. Again, the RAM, the hard drive, if you want to give it a hard drive, CD-ROM, whatever. The only thing, here we go. So I guess if you want to do it from here, you can. Instead of from a virtual disk, you can do that was what I was looking for, intrad and the kernel image. So anyways, so you do that, and there's other options you can set in here if you wish, but that one I got, it has it built in, so I don't need to do anything to that. Oh, duh, it only has, is that over here? Where was that at? It only has one adapter. Duh, you need, well, let's give it 8. What the hey? Yeah, again, you could set a base Mac. There's other things. I don't usually, that's the only thing I set. All right, so now we got enough adapters to do what we want to do. All right, so let's hit apply. And that, my friends, is the last thing that we're uploading into this. Again, VirtualBox, you can put VirtualBox in here, but it's not recommended and may be buggy. Not to bash on VirtualBox, I used it for years, but for GNS3, VMware is the way to go. There's also these Docker containers that have other types of images that you can upload into this as well. and I'll show you that in a minute. So let's go ahead and hit OK to that. We have no errors, which is good. Okay, so now the next thing is to go full screen on this. Oh, one thing I forgot. I don't like this white. If you like it, great. Probably if you're an Apple person, I'm an Android person, so I like charcoal. Okay, to me it's easier on the eyes because it's not white. It's like off gray. And anyways, I just like that. So let's go new project or blank project, and we'll call it whatever. Call it test. Hit OK. Oops. Oh, test already exists. Okay. Let's give it something else. Test 2. That's original. Okay, so we got that. Get rid of this. So if you get an error, you get an error here and an error up here. It's like a flag which gets in the way of stuff over here, so I clear those by clicking on it. Alright, so now we have our routers. Oh, so one thing they added is this installed and available appliances, installed appliances, available appliances, custom appliances. Why would you want available if it's not installed? So let's just do installed. And voila, there's the two we just installed. So we'll go ahead and click over here. Now, had there been a problem with this image, that would have given an error. Same with, wait, missing image. What? Don't tell me that. Ah, it found it. Okay. All right, so we're good. So now we want to add an IOU switch. Now earlier I mentioned that it has built-in hubs and switches. Here they are, as well as clouds. For some reason the ASA got put in there, which it should have been right there, but that's all right. So again, the clouds let you NAT or let you connect to your NIC if you want to connect. Like one time I set up a router on here, and I set up DNS, and I used Google's 8.8, I think it's Google's 8.8.8.8 DNS server, 4.4.4.4 for secondary on my router, and was able to connect to the internet from GNS3. So if you have a Windows, let's just say I've used XP because, well, I wouldn't use XP if you're touching the internet, but maybe Windows 7 or Win 10 VM inside GNS3, you can emulate the full effect of getting out to the network, getting out to the internet, I should say, from GNS3 through these clouds. So they are kind of cool, but I don't use them all the time. So let's go ahead and drag this over here just so you can get a feel for, when we load all these that we just put. Again, these are great. These are the virtual PCs. All it does is gives you the ability to ping. So you can ping from one to another one, or ping a router, the gateway. I don't think it doesn't give you the option to telnet, but you wouldn't need to because you would just use console. But if you use a VM, you can use PuTTY within a VM, like a Win 7 VM, if you wanted to, or something to secure shell or to telnet, or what you shouldn't do, or just set up some kind of server. Like I set up within GNS3, I had I had a what do you call it, a proxy server that I had set up, and also other servers, just to be able to emulate server services within GNS3. So there's all kinds of things you can do with GNS3. It's pretty cool. And just to show you all that you can do, give it a sec. These are every single type of switch and router and device type that GNS3 supports. So if your thing is, I don't even know how to pronounce that, VYOS, voice, if that's your thing, there you go. If you need a zero shell, there you go. So there's all kinds of cool and obscure appliances out there that you can add into GNS3. It was made specifically for Cisco initially, but now you can add a lot of other things to it. So in any case, that's everything that is installed right here, so that we installed, I should say. So let's go ahead and run it. See if we get any errors. Nah, we won't get any errors. See, there you go. All right. So to open up MobaXterm, or MobaXterm, sorry, you run the console, and that also opens the tight VNC viewer for your ASA. So there's your ASA running. In a second, we'll see MobaXterm. There's MobaXterm. There's tab 1. Does it open up more than one? There's tab 2. Let's see if it opens the third. Come on, don't call me a liar. Okay, so if that happens, it could be that you have to increase that time to allow MobaXterm to fully get up before it starts pushing its console tabs over to it. But in any case, so let me just show you. So here's our IOU1. So we're missing IOU2, because here's our R1, IOU1, and here's our Qemu, which is the ASA that we installed. So if for some reason, let's just say you're frustrated and you're like, what the heck, where's my IOU2, all you got to do is come back to here, double click on that, and voila, it adds the tab. So, and just to show you, it's IOU2. So, and you can rearrange these, so which is kind of cool. I mentioned, I believe if you click this for terminal nodes, yes. So if you do want multiple windows to show, you can do that from here. Again, PuTTY is very limited. I mean, shoot, it even has servers, has tools, has games. There's so much stuff that comes with this. There's tunneling, multi-exec. There's so much stuff that comes with this that I can't see why you wouldn't want to use this over PuTTY, and even over Super PuTTY, because Super PuTTY is so buggy compared to this. It's unbelievable. And like I said, later on, when you do start working in the real world, if you haven't already, this will be a useful program for the real world as well. So let me just show you one more thing. Let me minimize this. So you're probably wondering, well, that's great, we got some routers and a switch and an ASA. They're not connected. So basically, to do so, you click this, and once you do, you can select which interface you want to connect to. So, well, let's just do 0 to 1 to 0. See if that connects. and then come on now, and then we'll go, let's say this is our inside, and connect this one to here, and that's our outside. So there you go. So everything's connected, everything's working. If you want to create a loop, you could connect these two, I guess. No. Anyways, excuse my sense of humor. Anyways, that's it. So hopefully this has been helpful, and hopefully, I know it's a long video, but as you can see, there's a lot to it, and there's a lot you can do with it, and hopefully all of my experience with GNS3 will pay off by your watching this video. If, like I said, if you're a newbie, you're probably like, like drinking through a fire hose. But if you've been using GNS3, you might learn a new trick or two. Hopefully you did. Hopefully you liked the video. If so, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to watch more of my upcoming videos, which hopefully won't be a year from now, subscribe to my channel, and if you want to know when a new video comes out, hit the notification button when you subscribe, and that'll allow you to get notifications when a new video comes out. Alright, well, thanks for watching, and I hope this has been helpful. Alright, if you have any questions or comments, please write them below. Thank you. Bye.